guys, this is the ASMR Nerd, and today I am very excited because today I'm unboxing my new camera. This is a Sony RX100 Mark V, and this was the camera that I settled on after lots and lots of research and deliberation. It is a compact fixed lens camera, and it's pocketable, which is nice. But the real reason that I wanted something small is because the space that I have here for the camera between my two microphones, my microphone on the left side over here and on the right side over here, the space is not very big, so I needed something that could fit comfortably in between my two Rode NT1As and their big shock mounts and pop shields. And so I was looking for something fairly compact. And this is arguably the best compact camera that you can buy right now. And it has a number of features which make it ideal for what I want to do with it here on the channel. Now, I'm currently using, right now, what you're seeing footage from, is a Canon G16, and that's been my camera that I've used on this channel for a couple of years now. I've also used it for travel, and it is an excellent camera. I've liked it a lot. It's taken some really nice photos, and I get some nice compliments in the comments about the quality of the footage that it records. Of note, it does 1080p 60 recording, so that's that 60 FPS that I think works really well for ASMR videos especially. But it's not perfect for my needs here, and there are a few things about it that have bothered me more and more as time goes on. One of the biggest issues is that it doesn't have a screen that flips out or flips up, like around. So when I'm facing the camera, like I am now, I can't see what's being filmed, at least not without some serious effort, and I've mentioned it in a couple of past videos. But what I have is a camera, or sorry, not a camera, a mirror set up back there. Like it's an antique mirror of my girlfriend's, like one for the top of a vanity or a desk or dresser, and so it sort of sits there, and I can angle it such that I can just barely see the back screen of the camera in the mirror, and that's really not an ideal way to monitor my footage, my frame, and make sure that things that I'm shooting are in frame or in focus. And so I really wanted to make sure that when I got a new camera, it had a screen this isn't an issue for most people buying cameras, and so it turns out it was really hard to find information about the volume of the autofocus motor for most cameras or lenses. It's a strange prerequisite to have a very, very quiet autofocus. Some of you might remember videos of mine in past that I filmed with this Canon G16, where there was sort of a ticking, kind of a whirring noise that would go sort of indefinitely on in the background, and that's because the Canon, it has a pretty loud autofocus motor, and B, it's not great at finding and fixing on an autofocus point. It tends to like to seek, and it'll keep seeking, trying to find the right focus depth, even when the scene is somewhat stationary. And so that resulted in a lot of noise that became very apparent when I upgraded to these fancy new Rode microphones that are so sensitive. And so I really, really wanted to fix that. And what I've done in the interim is I've just set the camera to fixed focus. And so what you'll see is, like, my hand is in focus here, but if I move it closer, well, it gets dark because my lighting's not set up for it, but you'll probably notice that it doesn't autofocus on my hand. And so, but I do a lot of videos where I hold things up to the camera to show you guys. And so it really wasn't ideal to have a loud autofocus motor, or to not be able to use autofocus at all, like I've been doing. So anyway, I believe, after testing it out in the store, that this little Sony does in fact have a much quieter autofocus motor. The proof will be in the pudding, of course, when I try it out, which I think I will do towards the end of this video. Once I've unboxed the thing, I'll do a little bit of a test shoot so you guys can see it in action. You can see the footage it produces. So anyway, I haven't even started unboxing this thing. I'm just rambling. But all kinds of other amazing features in this camera as well. It shoots very detailed 4K video if I wanted, although I'll probably be sticking to 1080p 60 video for the time being. A relatively large sensor for a camera of this size class. So it takes very high quality photos. And really advanced autofocus that's very quick and accurate and responsive. And a whole host of other features that I don't really need for my channel filming applications. But if I take it traveling with me, which I plan to do, and use it as a conventional camera, it'll be nice to have a lot of those features. Okay, so that was a long ramble. Why don't we open this thing up, unbox it, and see what's inside? So, we'll take a quick look at the box. Not a whole lot to see from this angle. Just pictures of the camera and the name. Whole bunch of stuff about features, I think. I can't really tell from this angle, but I believe that's what it's advertising. And once again, a bunch of features and looks like it opens this way. So, there's not actually that much in here. As you can see, it feels almost a little bit empty. But this is the camera in a cloth bag. The battery back here. Or is it? Oh no, it's a charger, a wall charger. Literally just a USB wall plug, because this camera doesn't actually ship with a external battery charger. You just plug the camera in via USB to the wall or to a computer, and that's how it charges. That being said, I actually bought a kind of a accessory pack that comes with an external charger and some extra batteries and other things. So, because I like having an external charger so you can just plug that in overnight or charge a battery while you're using the camera, for instance. You know, have a couple batteries ready to go while your camera's out for the day. Just a USB cable to micro USB. Nothing fancy there. Again, for plugging the camera in. A wrist strap. Just basic. Okay, well, why don't we, let's remove the camera. And just set it aside for a quick moment, and I'll pull out this, which actually have no idea what these are. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me. And finally, the battery. This camera takes Sony BX1 batteries, evidently. Rechargeable lithium ion, no doubt. Yeah, it says so right there on the back. Okay, I'm going to move the box aside and we'll look at the camera itself, okay? Okay, so here's the camera in its cloth bag. Let's take it out. So there it is. The Sony RX100 Mark V. As you can see, it's pretty tiny. It fits comfortably in the palm of my hand. It's about the size of a deck of playing cards, although definitely thicker. And for those of you who are curious, this camera runs about $1,000 US, which is a lot for me to spend on a camera. At least it is by far the most expensive camera I have ever purchased. That's nothing compared to some high-end DSLRs, which can cost many thousands, but for a compact, it's quite a bit. But it really is one of the best on the market. There's that flip-up screen that I was talking about. So I'll be able to see myself when I'm filming. I can either see my hands, or I'll be able to see my face if I'm talking to the camera, which is pretty important. It can articulate at other funny angles, in case you're outside and you need to angle it to see it in bright light or something. Can you guys hear the airplane that's flying by? I'm filming during the day, which I rarely do for reasons like that. But I wanted to film this so that I can check the camera out, so I made an exception. Some basic controls on the back. Selection ring, activation button, some other face buttons, dedicated movie button. On the top here, we have the mode selection ring. got, and this is pretty cool, an electronic viewfinder. That's this thing right here. It's pop-up also. I believe I've just got to pull this out. There. So you can look through here, and you'll see one-to-one exactly what the camera sees, because what you see on the screen here isn't always sufficient when you're trying to frame something or when you want to focus on particular fine details. And so this electronic viewfinder uses a very tiny little OLED panel that's extremely high resolution. Evidently it works very well, especially in bright sunlight or things like that where the screen just isn't cutting it. It has a lens ring, of course, for focus adjustments or other settings. You can change it to control other settings, but like aperture or whatever. But anyway, that's that. On the bottom, battery compartment, tripod mount, SD card slot. I picked up a fancy SD card to use with this thing. I'll show it to you in a second. So that's the basics of the camera. I'll show you a couple of accessories now that I picked up for it as well. Nothing fancy or nothing excessive, but let's just take a quick look. So you may have noticed that the camera does not come with a grip on the front. It's actually quite slippery. It's just an aluminum body, and so it's a little bit hard to shoot one-handed with it, especially given its small size. And so Sony sells a rubberized grip, but you have to buy it separately, which seems a little crazy, given that I'm already spending over $1,000 on the camera. But anyway, it's just this little adhesive grip. It was about $20 Canadian, so it's, I don't know, 15 US dollars or something like that. A little bit less. And I also picked up a fancy SD card, like I mentioned, SanDisk Extreme Pro 128GB high-speed SD card. And you know it's fast because it's got a picture of a race car on the front. But I think what they're trying to imply is that it writes quickly, so you can capture the moment with maybe, burst shot mode or something like that. Which, by the way, this camera is incredibly capable at. It'll shoot in burst mode at 24 frames per second, and that's at full resolution, so the full 20 megapixels captured in RAW format at 24 frames per second. So that's crazy. That's like 5K or 6K video at that point, basically. Now I have no reason to use that feature as such, but if you're trying to capture action shots, that's certainly useful. And it'll fire off for a few seconds consecutively before it fills up the buffer, and then it has to start writing to the SD card, at which point your burst rate slows dramatically. But still, that you can capture clips clips of a few seconds long at that crazy high resolution at 24 frames per second. That's pretty cool. Helps you get your critical moment in an action-packed shoot. But anyway, as I also mentioned, the camera shoots 4K video, and so I wanted to make sure that I had an SD card that would receive that 4K video and write it without hitching or any issues. And they could fit a lot of video. I figure 128 gigabytes should do it for my needs. As well, like a battery charger, some extra batteries, a screen protector, and a little case thing. Those kinds of things, because as I said, I do plan to take this camera traveling when I have the opportunity to do so. But primarily, it is for this channel, for filming videos like this one. And so, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some time to look at the camera, check it out, get the video configured the way I want, and then I'm going to shoot a little bit of test footage with it, which I'll put right after the cut here so that you guys can see. It won't be 4K because the footage I'm shooting now is not currently in 4K. It's 1080p 60, so I'll do the same and match the footage type, but at least you'll get to see, maybe that autofocus in action. So let's go try that out. Okay, so now you're seeing footage from the RX100 V, and it's going to look a bit different just because this is just the default shooting modes. I've really not changed much of anything. So there's a lot of options that I'm going to have to explore. Saturation and exposure and stuff are all different right now from the former footage, but so this is the autofocus, and you can hear it a little bit, I will admit. It is ever so slight, but it is audible. But I don't think it sounds too bad, or it's not disruptive anyway. And it doesn't seem to do the seeking thing the same way the Canon did, so that's a major plus. I brought a couple little items just to test with. I brought some magic cards so that we can look at color reproduction and autofocus speed. You can see it autofocusing quite quickly there. There's another airplane. A very nice depth of field effect, too, on this lens. Let's grab one more card. Which one? These are just random cards I grabbed. Here, how about that? A mountain dating back to Mercadian masks. You can tell from the logo. My lighting's not quite set up for close-up shots here, but anyway. also brought a little Pikachu lanyard that I picked up from the dollar store. Well, actually, my girlfriend picked up because she thought it was cute. The little rubberized Pikachu is cute, but also there's Pikachus all over the length of the lanyard as well. So just a little test item that I wanted to pull out because it was on hand. So I would say that this camera is doing a very good job so far with the autofocus, picking up what I wanted to. And I'll see once I get the video out of the camera what the quality looks like, but I reckon it's probably pretty darn good. And there is some slight autofocus noise. You can hear it ticking away very faintly there. Maybe. We'll see if it comes through in the final recording, but it's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. So, I will of course experiment more with this new camera because it's got a ton of features, and it'll take me a little bit to dial in the video the way I want it, but first pass, pretty good. I think it's looking pretty good. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. I know I rambled a lot, but maybe you found it relaxing. That's the idea, after all. And I'm looking quite forward to playing around with this camera some more. I hope you guys are looking forward to seeing some more videos or more footage with it. So thanks again for joining me here today. And I look very forward to seeing you back here next time. Bye for now.